when you're making stuff out of wire, it's best to just play and not get too frustrated or be too hard on yourself, which is easier said than done. But you're going to do a lot, you're going to have a lot of mess ups and you're going to start over plenty of times. That's great. Okay, you are learning while you're making this stuff. A couple tricks though. So when you do stuff with wire, everything is over exaggerated. So if you're making a zigzag line, you can't just like make your zigzag line and hope it stays. Okay, you've really got to pinch the ends together to make that sharp zigzag and then bend it out. Pinch tightly and then bend it out. Okay, so things like that. Actually, the harder you press the wire together or harder you mess with the wire, the stronger the wire gets in some cases. Okay, because sometimes it will break if you play with it too much. But all right, so some tips. If you are not sure where to start, I'm going to show you a couple ways to get started. So, you know, when you do, like, you know, the twist ties on breads or like some vegetable bags and stuff, that's how tight you want the wire to be twisted. So if you're twisting wire, come up closer to this. If you're twisting the wire, you really want to use your pincher fingers, your finger muscles, and you are twisting the wire together. I am really pinching my fingers hard when I twist this. Okay? If it's not twisted and I'm not using my muscles when I twist it, that is too weak. That really easily came apart. So twist tightly together, and this is going to make a big kind of lasso shape here. Okay? Um, you can do a lot with this. It is tricky because you're working backwards. You know, when you're drawing something, you start with a line and you're making your shape. But we're going to be drawing with this line. And if you have this blob, what can you do to the blob to make the shape that you want? Can you pinch some legs? Can you squish the neck up? Okay, this is already starting to look like something. It looks like kind of a deformed dinosaur, but I love it. Okay, can you pull the tail out here? This might not look like your animal yet, but this is a great starting point. Okay, then how can you bend this part of the wire to make your leg? How can you over exaggerate some things? How can you make the tail the way that you want to? Does it need to be a fluffy tail where you zigzag a little bit? Does it need to be a big tail? Should you twist it together to make a skinny tail with maybe a little fluff at the end or not? Okay, for your head, does it need to have a neck? Does it need to have space for ears? Okay, what can you do? You can always add wire on also, but you need to make sure you leave room for the twisting. Okay, if this is tricky for you, if starting with a blob is too hard, undo what you've done. If you don't like these twists in the wire, run your hand, squeeze tight and run your hand through the wire, and that will kind of start fresh. Okay, so now I have a pretty straight piece of wire. Okay, if you want to draw, you could have your animal drawing in front of you and literally be tracing around it kind of with the wire. This to me is a little bit harder, but I know plenty of people that this is the way to go. This is how they like to do it. So I'm just pretending like this lion is my drawing and I am going around the whole thing. Okay. Um, Maybe you want to start with the head and you put almost kind of like a balloon and you twist the head on. And maybe you make the body, something like that. Okay. And then maybe you need to cut the wire. Maybe you need to get some more wire. If you cut the wire, I want to see first. okay? Because you cannot cut the wire too short, okay? So if I cut it, I've already twisted it on, I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm going to pitch that part back on, okay? If you are attaching wire to it, you need way more wire than you think you do. So say I'm making a tail. You might think, well, I'm only doing a little itty bitty tail, so I'll just attach it like that. Let me just twist this on once like this and I've got my tail. No, that doesn't work. So really, you need way more wire than you think you do to twist the tail on. And then, is it a 3D tail where it's actually the thick line like that? How is this actually going to be attached on there? Okay. To do eyes, if you want to do eye details, think about it like goggles. It's not going to look like real eyes. You're going to do a twist, another twist, and then you will twist, let me say twist again, the wire onto the head, and then you'll probably have to like kind of adjust. And see, I didn't twist tight enough there. All right, it takes a lot of play and experimentation. Don't get too frustrated. This is fun. You can always fix anything.